Okay, today I wanted to show you my new compound. There's a lot of scary sounds out there, and I don't know what animals are making them, so I wanted a sturdier defense. So you can see I've got these essentially large logs planted into the ground that replace those simple twig railings that I had. They're much more sturdier. I've also uncovered the ability to create tents. This here is a scrapper sheet tent. So I plopped one down to see what it looks like, and it also has storage. You can store things in it just like a large storage bin, which are what these little things are here you see all over the place, storage bins. You can see my character is also wearing a hat. I've started just messing around with the different grass hats I can make. The one he has on is called a farmer's grass hat, and it does give buff to spirit. All of the grass stuff I believe gives buff to spirit. Then there's the artisan's grass hat. The peasant's grass hat. I want to turn him around and face the sun. There we go. And the weaver's grass hat. Just something to do to see what things I can make, what's going on. Let me place these hats back here in this grass products bin. It's the bin I'm placing my grass products in that I can use for later. And over here I have a tool bin that I want to drop off some of these tools you can see down here on the lower right. Needle goes here. A weaver, a lasher, and shears. I was making some stuff and I required those items. Now what I'm going to do is something different. I have been doing woodworking, I suppose, chopping trees, planting trees, so forth and so on. But what I want to do today is take my forage cart and go do a little scrapping. Now you can see also that you see these tree stumps. I've cleared up a lot of trees around my area because what I want to do is plant a particular tree type all around, and leaving the tree stumps prevents the random spawn of trees from coming back. I still have this side over here to do, as you can see, but at any rate I've got all this area cleared. These were sugar pines. I want to come over here to this big brown mound, which is a scrap heap. Based on the game's backstory / lore, this is what's left. This is detritus, left over from civilization. So what I do, and you can get all kind of good things out of this based on what your scavenging skill is. This is called scavenging. So this forager's cart has 5 slots in it, and you can put a bin in each slot, which is a 50 slot storage bin. So as you can see, this is 250 slots. So what I do is I take them out of this, that's nice. Oh, there must be something in it. Ah, I forgot that was there. My fault. And then I place them around this big scrap pile. That way as I move around and pick up items that are heavy, I can dump them in these storage bins. Like I'm going to dump this right here is aluminum large sheet metal sheets. I'm sorry, aluminum large metal sheets. They can be used in building, and I scavenged them from this scrap pile. So I want to finish placing. Oh, you can see my character's running with a knife in his hand. Kids, don't try this at home. In fact, let me take that knife out of his hand. Put it back on my... You'll notice that the knife went on my leg. Right there. I've got a knife on my right thigh, axe on my right hip, an axe on my left hip, and a shovel on my back. And of course my storage bin. And around my character's body waist you can see these various pouches, which are these pouch slots here. And this particular pouch is called a washu food pouch. It allows you to store food items, and they last longer in this pouch because of the way it was made versus just carrying them in a regular container. There's also fish pouches, meat pouches, so they can get pretty specific. Okay, let me put the rest of these down. I'll go over here, and you have to be careful because one of the large random PvE elements of this game is what's called revenants. Now, a revenant, I really dislike any game that has zombies or vampires in it, but these things have been compared to zombies, and you'll probably see a few. What is this right here? This is a raccoon up on the right. Yeah, I've been attacked by raccoons before also, and killed twice by raccoons, in fact. I want to drop this bad boy down here. Now I'm pretty sure there's a squirrel, a pine marten as it's called in the game. I'm going to, there you go, there's some revenants. These are called revenants, and that's part of your PvE content. You notice someone has some baskets down here where they had been scavenging, and the revenants are all over those baskets. So it'd be very difficult to get in there and get those baskets. But at any rate, what I'm here for is to scavenge. So what you do is you simply run across this pile and press your scavenge hotkey. And you dig around, you root around looking for stuff. In this instance, I found a small copper plate. I have found money, metal items, plastic items, wood items, cloth items. There's a metal rod. And all of these items can be used to build something. Back at, here's for example, this rusty spade. This spade I can use to make, I got a skill called toolcraft, and there's 317 schemes available to me under that skill. I currently know 81 of them. And I look at shovel, and as a matter of fact, shovel is under weapons, and I cannot build very many weapons yet. But at any rate, I would use this blade here, this rusty spade blade, the metal portion of a shovel, to create a new shovel. And you can see this, my skill for scavenging is very low, so this is a poor quality rusty spade. But it would allow me to make a shovel similar to the one on my back that you can see right there. So it's scavenging skill is almost mandatory, only because there's so few newer players in the game that can cross trade with each other. Screws are very, very useful. In fact, I used 40 screws to build that tent I showed you earlier. So screws are very useful also. Basically, anything you can scavenge in the game can be put to some use. So this is what I do, is run around picking up things. And when you can see over here on the left, my encumbrance, I'm at 21% encumbrance. Once that gets to a point of 50% or more, you move extremely slow, and it's just not very economical. So what I do is I run between these. There's some chalk. Oh, that's a scheme. So I could learn how to make artisan scrapper's chalk. And I'm sure that's used in toolcraft. But you see, I don't know if you can see this. Let me move it over here and make it look on a dark background. When I hover over that scheme, which is a pattern, if you will, a design, tells me it's poor quality, 28. It's used in toolcraft. I have to have my toolcraft skill at least 60, and this is scrapper's chalk. Excuse me. Now, I'm sure that's probably used in designing and architecture. I haven't, or masonry especially. I haven't got that high level yet. But anytime you can find a scheme, a design, it's always a good thing. There's some metal studs, which once again can be used for creating other items, building. There's some fur. Fur would fall under, could be used in leathercraft for creating leather armor, for instance. I didn't realize that bucket was so far. Did I pass one? I certainly didn't want to leap putting that far away. And there's a plastic sheet that I can use for building. Now as I move across the scrap heap, this bottom window down here called resources, this lists everything that's underneath the area I'm standing. So right here at this area there is cloth, leather, and plastic. And in order to get that, I would have to click on one of these. Just right click on them. Now I've been told that these scrap heaps are just what's left over, the remnants of the civilization that used to be Earth, and they will deplete. And if you gather your resources by using this resource bin here, resource window, that you will deplete the spot you gathered in, and there will never be anything there again. So you could theoretically deplete this whole thing if enough players work on it. However, if you use your scavenging skill like this, you will not deplete the resources. But you have less control. See, that gave me a piece of plastic, whereas I could have got cloth, leather, also if I'd have used the resource window here to scavenge. You can see I'm getting pretty heavy, 42% encumbered now. I'm glad I'm close to one of these storage bins. And there's some leather scraps. So basically, I run around here. There's a time involved. There's a lot of time involved in doing this. But if you want to get these parts, that's what you have to do. I don't have enough money to buy a lot of these things, and the older characters wouldn't sell them anyway because to them they're useless, so they use them for grinding levels in building. So basically that's what I do, probably going to do for the next day or two during the daylight hours, because trust me, it needs to be daylight to be able to see even your storage bins out here. It gets fairly dark at nighttime. In fact, just before I started this video, it was raining, and it can be dark in the daytime. Current temperature in game is 3 centigrade. I'm told we're getting close to winter, where the entire surface world would be covered in snow. Some pleather. I'd like to get some money, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's very rare that you get money. But these metal boards can come in real useful when building. Now, I'm not going to fill up all these stuff. In fact, I'm not going to fill up anything. Well, yeah, I will. I'll leave this stuff here for now. But what I'm going to do now is run back. This is another tribe's area. You can see right here is their trade totem. You right click on that and see what kind of trades they have. I already know they don't have any though. And this is quest totem. So you could click on this, and they had 3 quests here. They wanted 50 sand, some grass, and 200 grass string, but those expired, so no one was able to complete them before they expired. Their tribal totem will be inside, but you cannot get to it because the doors are locked. Yep, this is locked for me. You can see he's got some tents. He or she's got some tents down here. Pioneer lumberjack tents. These are nice thatch roof buildings. Around, I'm not sure what that's called. It says Intrapop. I don't know if that's the game name or what they renamed it. It's a nice little compound they have there. But let me run back over here to my compound with the much more sturdy walls in it now. And you'll notice a lot of little things, like as I run across, I don't know if you noticed that. You see my running speed, top left-hand corner tells you your ping and your speed. Across this rough grass terrain, I'm running at 9.57. When I hit this granite road, I'm running at 11.64. Notice it was 5, and when I started going up this slight hill, 6.4. So 9.53. Now, when I hit this hard-packed earth with no grass, 13.24. So you'll see a lot of little things. Just whatever terrain you're moving over affects your movement speed. And that applies to walking, running, or carrying that foraging wagon I had earlier. So there's a lot of little details here that I like about the game. Now, once I would have a bunch of stuff in my forage wagon, I would fill up each individual basket that was down there. Of course, I wouldn't fill them completely up because once I got to them, I would need to transfer the contents to my personal storage, then pick up the empty storage bin, place it in the forage wagon, and then move the stuff from my contents to the bin inside the storage wagon. And that way I would get all 5 of them. Then once I had loaded up on scavenged stuff, I'd come back here and I would unload. This is my plastic again, my plastic area. You can see here that I've got 2 storage bins, plastic 1 and plastic 2, of various plastic items that can be used, to include soles. These can be used to make shoes because everything in the game, your clothing, your weapons, your tools, they decay. So even these clothes that I'm wearing that I started with, I'm wearing a lumberjack shirt, and you can see it started at 36% durability and it's now at 32. I'm wearing cargo shorts, which I do wear in real life all the time, and it's degraded down from 36 to 35. I'm wearing shoes that are called sneaks. You assume these are just sneakers, tennis shoes if you will, and they've degraded also. So eventually even the clothing on my back will degrade, and I'll need to make them or have someone make for me new shoes, for example. So that's why I'm stockpiling these soles, because someone can make new shoes for me with them. These are plastic bags that are again used in various things. Now this right here, I get more metal products than anything else because I believe there probably are more metal items in the game. So I'll open up these 3. You can see here knobs of various metal types, rivets, metal rings, metal spikes. Now I assume these are for armor. Metal poles, you have long, medium, and short. Plates, as you saw me get earlier, these are metal rods and metal poles. And these are decorations. If you make clothing and you can put decorations on them, metal decorations, plastic decorations, and these just happen to be the metal decorations. There's brass, copper, and steel, just all types of buckles, metal blocks that you use to create something else. These are various types of handles here. There's a metal handle and long old pipe, various lengths of pipe, and a lamp post head. Now this was interesting when I found it, because I actually found a structure that I have videoed that's up there in those hills in dangerous area that I would swear they have lamps outside of their home. Now I don't know if they light up or if they're just for decoration, but I'm telling you, I saw a structure up there that had lamps outside of his front door, just like a street lamp, an actual post with the lamp head. And one of these days I'm going to find out if that actually lights up. Here we have more metal handles and zippers. Of course, they're useful in the tailoring skill, or leather screw, anything really, I suppose, that requires a zipper. Essentially, metal, as I've said about 3 times now, everything in the world can be used. Here's all the heavy metals, you know, the plates, the studs, so forth and so on. And this is the screws, the wedges. For example, wedges are used to make tools. They're the head of an axe, for example, or something of that nature. And screws and nails. Now, I've been told nails are one of the most important items in the game because you use a great many of them to create almost anything. So I'm stockpiling nails, of course. Now over here in our next little area, segregated, we have our cloth products. Now, currently I've got my cloth products segregated. This is fabric. In all of these are fabric. You can see the various colors. And the right-hand side is scraps. Scraps are used to make string and twine and thread. So I'm keeping all the scraps separate. And you can see in here I've ran across an old bin that had stuff in it, and it actually has more shoes, another lumberjack shirt, and another set of camo pants, which are different than the ones I'm wearing. In fact, let me take a look at that. I'm curious now that I'm videoing this and talking about it. I've never tried them to see what they look like. So let me get out here in the sun, change the camera to free camera, and put on these pants. These are camo pants. Now, I don't like the fact that they're so tight. I would prefer in fact, I would prefer they not be so tight. What are they made out of? Doesn't say. But they're pristine quality. And this is what I normally wear. That's interesting. That was new to me. I'd never put on any other type of clothing other than a hat up to this point. Let me put them back in here. I'll save those for when the ones I'm wearing wear out. And my next little area here is the leather products that I was talking about. You can see you have just, this is suede scraps. So basically you have a lot of scraps, lambskin scraps, suede scrap, leather scrap. Then you have fur, chinchilla fur, fur scraps, found fur, faux fur, as in fake fur. I guess if I wore that, I wouldn't get splashed by paint by, well, that's another story. And then you have the leather tarps that are useful for creating tents and other types of items. And scavenging, you find a lot of things. This is my weapons parts. These items, this is a cleaver blade, a knife blade, and rusty pick heads. These are used for picks. Now down here, this is a wooden bat that's considered a weapon, and a metal bat. And these weights, 10-pound weights, are added to weapons also to get what's called beaters. Of course, this is my tool bin that you've all seen before. And this is the tool parts. Saw blades, 3 different types of saw blades for making saws, 3 different shovel ends for making shovels, a hoe head for making hoes, rakes and pitchfork heads, and feathers for making, one of the things that I really need these feathers for is to make axes. I can make, as I showed you earlier under weapon craft, I can make axes, but one of the things that requires feathers. And I did not have any feathers, and that's something you cannot craft. You literally have to be lucky and find them. Now here are some designs that I have found just so far in one day of running around. And they're separated into, these are weapon craft designs or schemes. This is tool craft schemes. This is actual blueprint. Now I've been told these are the most, what's the word I'm looking for? These have the most worth as actual blueprints. And this is for architecture, for buildings and structures. This is leathercraft schemes that I've found. And tailoring, these are patterns, of course, for tailoring. And a patterning for bone craft, which I'm not doing any bone craft or tailoring really at all. This particular one is for tool craft, so I'm going to plop it down here with the rest of it. Again, this is my trusty little spot where I can dig granite, obsidian, things like that. I don't have to go outside my compound. And my seed bucket. I'm going to be planting these trees here probably within the next couple of days. But basically I wanted to show you scavenging, which is what I've been doing now instead of tree work, because I need to get some items to be able to build better axes. Because when you're going around chopping trees like I did in the last couple of days, I went through several axes. And that's a good thing for the game economy, that things constantly need to be replenished. It's a bad thing that I can't afford what these old players are selling the axes for the most part. So if there's any new players in the game at all and you want to trade some low-level items and we can work together, let me know. Until next time, ciao.